let's just start from here. Then we'll introduce
Yeah.
it. This is Coast to Coast. There we go. I
Yeah.
am
So I'm Peyton Andrews, even though my screen doesn't say that. Don't
no.
worry. Different life, different personalities. And then we got my wonderful co-host Kale, EG Gaming, and we are just so excited to be here and talking to you about questions that you sent in to us. Now you've got the comments up. What is the first thing you want to talk
Right. So the top one I had that's had the most likes as well. I'm pretty sure it was the first one that came through. And literally, I posted it, and about 2 seconds later, I saw it appear. And I was like, okay, this is going to be an interesting podcast. Um, if you could wish for another Cars game, what and how should it be? Including, and this is a whole pitch of gameplay, story, characters, so on and so forth. And this even had replies, like people were
Yeah,
responding to
I
the
saw that.
question.
Oh my God. Well, that's a loaded question. That's a lot to get into one. But and you're also asking me to comment on a franchise that like is doormat for the
Yeah,
current moment and has
yeah,
been for the last 7 years. So
yeah.
it's a little difficult to be like, yeah, when Cars 4 comes out with Shrek 5 in 2026, this is how we're gonna book it.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. Well, I would like to say that it would, and this is killing two birds with one stone because I know someone's question was like, would you like an open world or would you like it
yeah,
to be just
yeah.
kart racing? And the answer is, yeah, the open world stuff from Cars and Cars Made International was clunky at the time. I mean, like it hasn't aged the best, but I'm sure with we're going to be three console generations up if we're really going to go over to from 360 at the oldest to now. But I don't know. I don't know. I think Cars 2 perfected the formula, and I think it
Yeah,
did really well in the way that it works. So I'd say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But at the same time, you got to have something new because you can't hold over with the same gameplay style for if we're saying 26, 15 years. Like that just is insane to me. Um,
yeah,
so I'm trying to think of something more creative, but you got the floor. What do you got?
yeah. That's the thing because I my last month has solely consisted of playing these games and absolutely nothing else. I literally my daytime consists of corporate nonsense and my night times consist of just cars. Like it's not even like funny anymore. Like you saw on my Discord server earlier, even my parents are sending me pictures of Lightning McQueen when I'm at work. Like, um, so, um, but having played them all, a big thing I've seen floating around that comes up in my comments and in the live chats quite a lot is what if there was like the epic Mickey treatment we're getting or the SpongeBob rehydrated? Like, what if we had a Cars refueled kind of thing? And it if it was not just a remaster, if it was a remake done with quality of life improvements, you know, rehaul the physics engine for one
Oh
thing,
my god, I was about
um,
to say.
completely from the ground up with standard generation not graphics, physics that work that don't send you up to the moon when you hit a wall.
Oh,
Um, I think that would be quite a good idea. But the other thing, yeah, you're right. Cars 2 pretty much perfected it,
yeah.
but then Cars 3 came along and went, ha,
No.
no. So I think if you had something like the playgrounds in Cars 3, for example, was a good idea in concept. In execution, I was bored in like 20 minutes, but like I don't know. It's hard to answer that because you say it's quite a loaded question. What would your story be? What would your characters be? I don't know, man. You could take any part of this franchise. I mean, I wouldn't want to see something on like we've already had the Mater's Tales thing, which I'm getting to soon.
Oh my
I haven't
god.
even played that yet.
I'm looking forward to how you feel about that. I used to have that on my Wii and I sold it for $20 to Goodwill and they still have it, I think. And it's been 2 years.
Nice. I was on Vinted the other day. I don't know. Is Vinted a big thing in America? I don't know if it
I
is.
don't think it exists in America.
Okay, it's kind of like eBay, but more like a more tailored towards the user rather than corporate
Oh, okay.
nonsense.
Yeah. What?
And I was scrolling through. You can have like saved searches. I have like Nintendo just as a saved search, and someone was selling that Mated game on the Wii. I think it was for about £2 in
Yes.
Great British pounds. I
$5
don't know.
for us. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
So, and I was like, I've got to just buy it, haven't I? Because I've got to make a video on it at some point anyway. So I may as well
God.
just get it now. Yeah, I don't know really. The game, the story and characters. Obviously, you've got to have your boy Lightning.
Yeah. Like,
You
I
can't
mean,
have a Cars game and not have the main character as McQueen.
yep.
I feel like they could take a step back right off the fact that Cars 3 as a game ever happened and just try again. You know,
Cars 2 2.0, is this what we're
yeah.
leading to? That's not a terrible idea. I could stick with that. See, I was trying to think here, like, how could I possibly make this like decent? How could we? In terms of characters, obviously you got Lightning, Cruz Ramirez. I didn't hate from the third movie. Now, here's the difference between you and me. I actually liked Cars 3 Driven to Win because it was a lot more nostalgic for me. It came out in a lot more of a recent time where I'm younger than you, so I was
Yeah.
a little smaller when that came out. So we were hyped over here. Me and my cousin went nuts in the Thomasville playground, crazy battle mode antics. The physics, we were flying everywhere. Oh, great. But no. So I was thinking about it. So Cruz, yeah, I think she would be okay. What I need to be brought back is my boy Francesco Bernoulli. An iconic, underrated, dare I say, groundbreaking Italian villain, where his only gimmick is, "Oh, mamma mia,
Yeah.
I really love me my spaghetti, and I'm gonna beat you." I think like that's all you need. The foreign menace, like perfect. Boom, there we go. I didn't like Storm. It's also because I don't like Army Hammer that much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, let's not get into Army Hammer because that's a demonetization waiting to happen there. So let's move on.
Oh yeah, because then I was thinking of one thing that happened, and I thought of everything else. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
My brain just firstly goes to the Lone Ranger, and I'm like, yeah, and then like move on from that. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's just forget him.
yeah,
Moving on.
yeah,
Jackson Storm as a
Ranger
character,
movie.
yeah, just boring.
Awesome.
Francesco, peak. The way we have to look at it is, did Jackson Storm get a Disney Infinity figure? No.
No.
Did Francesco? Yes.
Yes, he did. I had that. I had the little Cars 2 beanbag, and it had Lightning, Francesco, and Raul Carul. And I don't know. It's somewhere. It's somewhere in this house.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't lose it during the move. Anyhow, you got to have chick hicks. It's a requirement. It's become a meme on your channel. I've been going around saying Kachika for the last 15 years of my life. So it's mandatory. I think we can use them better. I think we can like toss a few dollars because it's Disney. It's multi-billion-dollar corporation. So just toss a few dollars over to Michael Keaton. You know, get the best Paul Newman impersonator you possibly can without like Corey Burton in Mater National was a fantastic dog. I couldn't tell the difference when I was little.
No, to be fair, he is very good. He is. Yeah. Back to Kachika. It's reached a point where it's like I can't anywhere I go. It just follows me. I was in the car with my partner earlier in the week, and she listens to a lot of Spanish music. She does speaks different languages, and there was a verse, a chorus. I don't know whatever part of the song, and she goes "La chica ka," and immediately I just was like "Kachika" in the car, and I just got like the dirtiest look, and I was like, "Oh, I'm infected."
Yeah, you really are. Mad Cars disease right there. Yeah, there's every time someone on the weather is like chance of thunder. I don't care where I'm at. Station is.
Yeah, and I don't know whereabouts in the Americas you live, but if you're like in the Florida way, your chances of thunder from the few times I've been there is significantly higher than the chances of thunder we have here.
No, right down there. No, that's for the crazy people. That's I'm of sound mind and I lack an accent, so I'm just glad that we're here. Now, wait, hold on a minute. Where was it? Oh, yeah. What a Cars 4 game would look like.
Yeah.
I completely got off of that. So Cars 2 2.0, I think, is the best we could come up with because anything else really doesn't seem to work properly. I mean, you could give Cars 1 or Mater National like the Spyro Reignited or the Insane Trilogy treatment of remaking it, but yeah, quality of life, like you said. But yeah, besides that, I don't really know.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, playing devil's advocate here, you could take some like a developer like Toys for Bob did the Insane trilogy, didn't they? I think.
Yes, yeah, and
And
they both.
yeah, and then they came back and did a Crash 4. So technically, you could get a fairly decent developer remake the trilogy, the THQ trilogy, and then pull up with like a sequel to that somehow. I don't know what with, but yeah, that's the best I can come.
Only people on this earth who liked Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Everyone else like, okay, there we go. Thank you. It was so unplayable. I'm like, I'm contacting my boys at Nordic. They still got some of the old THQ staff from years gone by, and like they know how to make their stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed that game. I mean, because of all the different subscriptions I'm on for like PlayStation and Xbox, I must have that game on about 5 different platforms now. But like, it's great. It's a good game.
So good. It still holds up. It's probably one of the best kids licensed games because
absolutely.
If Mario 64 is too difficult for your little tot, just put on Battle for Bikini Bottom.
It's true. It's true. Okay. So that's that kind of semi answered to a degree.
Well, I think we got our licks in, and I'm sorry if we couldn't do it to your ability to answer, but we tried. All right, it's hard when you don't have a movie to go off of.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, but yeah, look at Mater National and Racer Rama. They were not exactly in the story department so much. So
I'm sorry. One had Randy Savage as a car. I disagree with you entirely. I just downloaded Racer Rama, and I've been having the time of my life. So.
But yeah, I've got to finish it on stream, haven't I? I'm still halfway through my playthrough. I don't know if you caught that last one, but it was a complete mess.
I saw it was happening. And I almost thought, should I go? And then with the time difference, it's just like I can't. It's the middle of the night for you, but it's still like 4 p.m. for me. So I'm like, no.
Yeah, no, it all sorts went wrong. I went to play it on Wii, and then it wouldn't. I couldn't physically get it to stream on my it came up on my Streamlabs and wouldn't connect to my actual screen. So I was like, right, okay, scrap that. So I then had to emulate it on PS3, and then literally every time we did a race, we had to save because the game might have crashed, and it was chaos. It was like a 2 hour and something stream, and I think 40 minutes of that was just spent with just me talking whilst the game was just like chugging along, trying to catch up. But okay, moving on to our next question. Now, this might divert us away from cars a tiny, tiny bit. I'm just going through my list here. I'm not going to talk about Puyo Puyo Tetris today because I don't know anything about it.
I will give you one sentence, and I cannot even clip this because it's going to be so short. I'm not going to go hating and gaming on Puyo Puyo Tetris. It's a fun puzzle game. It's a nice distraction. I got bored after 5 minutes, and it's still shoveled in my Switch libraries. So good on you if you like it. Not for me.
Right. Okay, cool. I'm pretty sure there's 2 of them as well. I've seen a sequel somewhere knocking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of related, I suppose. What is our opinion on movie-based games? Should they be one-to-one or take their own direction from the film with little nods here and there? I mean, this is more than this is 3 questions in one comment, really. And also, what makes a good movie-based video game? Can't wait to see it, says Mr. Bean Boozled, which I am now bean boozled by that question because I've played so many chaotic movie-based video games over my years on this planet.
That's not something you should be proud of. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No. And I've played some decent ones. I've also played some dreadful ones. I am wanting to cover some more on the channel because you probably see I'm covering WALL-E soon, and Toy Story keeps coming up quite a lot. I haven't got to them yet, but from my experience, you need to have a developer that actually cares about the property, because what you tend to find with a lot of these movie-based games is they just kind of like get shoveled off to some very small developer that just wants to make a quick buck, and then they pump out some garbage loosely related to the film, or one that in fact just directly follows the film, but it's like 10 times worse than the film itself.
Be Toy Story 3. Don't be over the hedge on the Xbox. There are standard bearers to this because I love Toy Story 3, not even just as a movie game, but as a game because it doesn't really. I mean, it follows the plot points, not really one to one though, because hey, I'm gonna go back to Cars 3 here for a second because this is my example. They came out an entire month before the movie did.
Yes, yeah.
And in the first scene of dialogue, Cruz already says, "Hey, I beat you once, Jackson. I can beat you again." They gave away the movie a month early for me. So I was already going, okay, yeah, we're gonna be fine.
Yeah,
so I'm just
nice.
But so I don't need it to follow the movie, especially if you're going to be like that and release the game beforehand. I don't know. It's just it has to be related in some way. If they have some iconic locations, use them. I mean, for example, that Toy Story 3, that was all in the Wild West kind of thing, and then you would go out and Zurg's spaceship and try to beat him. So that was like loosely related, but not one to one. What was the really bad one that I was thinking of? Well, not over the hedge. I had another one that was Madagascar 3 on the Wii. Don't be Madagascar 3 on the Wii, because even though you go from Italy to London to Paris or wherever, I don't even remember the order anymore because I haven't seen Madagascar 3 in 4 years, so I'm a normal human being. But it's just platforming. That's it. It doesn't even really follow the movie, and then you got a really bad impersonation of King Julian because obviously Sacha Baron Cohen wasn't in the Wii budget. So you see, this is how we. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, this is the thing with these kind of licensed games. I feel like there's a few different categories you have for these movie or TV tie-in games sometimes as well. Especially in the older era of gaming, like pre whatever generation the 360 era was, the one before that, when you had like GameCube, PS2, Game Boy Advance. 99% of the movie tie-in games that were coming out were all just platformers.
Yeah,
especially the Game Boy Advance is riddled with them. There's got to be like 5 SpongeBob platformers on that console. Like, I'm sure there is.
As a SpongeBob fan, hold on. 4. You got 4.
Yeah, and those ones, some of them are like they're decent. Don't get me wrong, but like inherently quite boring because there's so many of the same thing. And then you get the tie-in games that are not so much directly tied in to a film specifically, but they're just based off of the property, like Cars International, Race-O-Rama, Simpsons Hit and Run,
Muppet Race Mania. That was
was about to lead into Muppet Race Mania.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's not based off of a film. The tracks are taken from different films, but it's like an overall, hey, look, we like this property. Let's make a game about it.
That was the other. Besides Nordic, the other person who I would have called for a Cars game would be Traveler's Tales because they know how to be a good car racer. Especially
yes, they do. Yeah. So I think my opinion on movie-based video games is I like them. I like them to a degree. It really it's because of how wide the basis for movie-based games are. Like you've got your Cars, or then you've also got your Fast and Furious showdowns. It's like there's no. It's such a wide variety of quality. Like, did you see that Jumanji game that came out a couple of years ago?
I had the incredible misfortune. I don't own it, thankfully, but I went to a friend's house to play it a couple of years ago. We were just ripping the game to shreds and was like, okay, if you're going to make it based off a movie, fine. No Rock, no Jack Black, no Kevin Hart, whatever, fine. But just at least try to make something competent. It was just so boring and mind-numbing, and I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, and that...
No, you go ahead.
And then you've also got there was like a little resurgence. I don't know what the developers called, but they had like a slew of just terrible games. There was, I think it was King Kong. I think they did a King Kong game recently, and then they also had that Walking Dead Destinies.
Game Loft?
Yes, no, because No, Gameloft have also been put up with all their Disney tie-ins at the moment, haven't they? 'Cause you got
Well, then I was also thinking of Game Mill. Game Mill. That's it.
that's yeah, Game Mill. Yeah, so you've got those level of like absolute atrocities to
Garbage
mankind. Yeah, like
Yep.
the kind of thing that I would even pick up at like a yard sale, garage sale, whatever you guys call them, compared to what we
No, it's everything here.
yeah,
It's pretty good.
in
But
any place.
yeah, I wouldn't pick any of those up. I mean, I was threatened by my GameStop selling Balls of Fury on the Wii for $3. I was like, all right, nope, next. That was one game where I was gonna be like, that was also awful. It's one of the worst things that I've played. Uh, but no, movie-based games can be good when people care about them. THQ mostly cared about theirs. Sometimes, other times they just leave it. Racer Rama, they just leave it around back and say, "Oh no, look at Australia or Heavy Iron to develop it. It's fine."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but no, they can be really fun, but on occasion they can also be really boring and really wasting your time. And come on, you can go and do anything else, please.
Yep. Okay, I mean, I think that pretty much answers those questions. What are, sorry, that was some poor English from me, favorite features or parts of each Cars game? Now, I'm gonna just, for the sake of the length of this, I'm gonna specifically say the console releases. I'm
I
not
was
gonna
about to
sit here
say, you're the
and
one who's played all the portables. Never owned a Game Boy Advance or a DS in my life, nor did I discover pirating until way later in my life than I should have. Okay, so we're gonna go from Cars 1 on. All right, so you start. You say
all
something
right.
about Cars 1.
It's let me think of something I can say nice about Cars One. No, I'm just joking. I did really enjoy my time with that game. I mean, I think a good thing about Cars One is that it feels a lot more connected to the films. It's compared to the others because obviously you've got the voice cast from the film, um, and you can tell there was a lot of effort actually put in to work with Pixar to work with following up on Cars as a film rather than like what Cars 3 did, where they just went, haha, look, Rouge wins. Enjoy everyone. Sorry to spoil your film. They kind of you get what I'm trying to say. It's
No, absolutely.
it's a nice like companion piece to watching the film that you could watch the first Cars film, play the Cars game, and you could be like, yep, that's me done, and just forget the rest ever happened.
Yeah. Hey, and it was also clearly, I believe, the highest budget out of any of these games.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
because definitely getting the voice cast, doing all that. And another thing that I like about Cars 1, because I only played the 360 version, I didn't have the Wii version until way later in my life. So the 360 was all I had, and I made fun of the game for years because the 361 is awful. The physics are even worse. I can't believe the old generation, the PS2, Wii, et cetera, runs better than the 360. I don't care if it's in 720p, but all right,
Awesome.
how am I going to say this without an abrupt cut? So Cars 1, no, but Cars 1, another thing that I like about it is that it has a very deep character roster. Like, it's very strange. Like, I mean, I didn't like that I couldn't play as the king in non-Piston Cup races. That always bothered me when I was little. I don't know why. Same with my goat, Count Spatula. Like,
I forgot about Count Smasher.
best monster truck name in the history of time for any Gravedigger, move aside. Bigfoot, move aside.
Yeah.
Count Spatula is where it's at.
Yes.
But no,
Oh man.
I liked the character roster, and no, some of the races were pretty fun. Always bugged me that I could never play as Mia and Tia, especially because when I was really little tyke, I would always be stuck on the race where I'm Sally and Flo and Mia, and never get past that when I was a young lad, so it's the worst. But no, I ended up really enjoying the character roster, and I guess the in-depth look at our little Cars universe that I'm going insane. I can't believe it. Possibly have like $27 in income for this, whatever. But in our little Cars universe, our little Cars bubble that we have. All right, so here's one that will be easier, I think, for both you and me. Major National.
Ha. Favorite feature. That is a question. That is one of the questions of all time on what my favorite feature would be. Now, no, I actually as stereotypical as they can be, I actually don't dislike the international races. I look, I'm just I'm just gonna say it. I didn't hate them. Now don't get me wrong, I was only slowly introduced to them first via handheld versions of the game, so they're not really there's no voice lines, so you don't really have the jarring kind of sudden you know what I'm trying to say. You know, it has
I got
you're not met with the biggest British stereotype you've ever heard, or like the biggest Italian stereotype you've ever heard. Don't even get me started on the Swedish one. Like it's just
I apologize. I apologize for on your Mater National video where I said I thought she was Australian because then I got like a ton of Discord DMs later. All right, leave me alone. And even I think the Cars Wiki at one point listed her as from there, and then they were like, "Oh no, never mind, it's from Britain now." So I just wanted to apologize for that. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. But yeah, Mate National, they they tried to do something a bit different with the characters they introduced in. Obviously, they had some like unique things for each of the races, other than Giovanni, really, because that was just a track race. There was nothing particularly exciting about that at all. And Snot Rod was just there for some reason every time. That was a whole thing. That was like a running joke in the stream I had for it because that was the only competition you had. Giovanni was a useless racer. It was just Snot Rod the whole time. But I appreciate what they were trying to do. The problem with Meta National is it just feels like a glorified DLC to the first Cars game. It very easily could have just been an extension of that game rather than its own thing. But let's not get to that yet because that's a whole other.
But Mater National, this one feels a lot more personal to me. This is the game that I had as a kid. I didn't pick up Cars 1 until I was after Cars 3 came out. So I was 13 years old. So this is one where I was a little kid. And I think my grandparents got it for me when I first like really got into cars. First movie, 5 scratch discs. You know how it goes. I was obsessed with it. But the two features that I really enjoy from that game, first off, physics, massive upgrade, at least on the 360 and Wii. So it actually was playable instead of the first Cars game on 360 where I had a terrible time with it. And the other thing that I really like that they never brought back is the trio races. The 3-lap, you get one car. I really enjoyed those.
Yeah, you know what? I'll give you that. They were pretty cool. What Meta National also did that was the first one that had the Mike and Sully mini game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which some from what I gathered from my stream and video, people either love that mini game or they absolutely despise that mini game. But yeah, I'm in the middle.
Yeah, I think it's me too. I really have no opinion on it. It's not like the Ramon game from the first Cars one where I have a very big hatred toward it. No. It's fine. It's there. I mean, I got the little play set that actually had the cheat code in it. So I did unlock everything without trying, and they said, "Oh, you beat the game." I'm like, BS right there. But so that did get me all the access to the international racers. I think that's what gave Pixar the idea for the second Cars movie. I'm telling you. They looked at Otto because him and Max Schnell look identical. They literally color swapped the two German cars. And then Giovanni, let's make him sleeker. Let's make him a Formula One car. I can hear it. I can hear John Misconduct himself going, "We need a Formula One Italian."
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Well, so now we covered the first two Cars games, what we both like about it, and now we get to Cars Race-O-Rama.
Yes, my what many would describe as my arch nemesis of a game, which I've grown to appreciate over time. And I gotta say, I think the locations in that game are quite cool. All right, they're small. Don't get me wrong. Like they're not the biggest open world areas. They could have been worked on a bit, but conceptually, I think they're very cool places to be able to drive around, which I appreciated, rather than just being in the same like basically two places as the first two games. So I like that. The thing I like about Race of Rama is that it doesn't, to me, feel like it should just be an extension of the first game. It actually feels like a sequel rather than just an add-on. So it feels more like a fully fledged game. Don't get me wrong, it's not exactly much longer than Made to National was in terms of story,
Right.
but it did a bit more work to distance itself from the first game to kind of make it its own thing.
Now, I believe, I think this is the weakest of the trilogy. This is the one that I played the latest. I only grew up with Mater National 2 and 3. I never had Cars or Cars Racer Rama until, well, they're the only licensed Pixar games to ever like have like still be on the Xbox store. Everything else got rid of, but the Cars thing stayed there until they just got rid of the Xbox 360 store last month. So it was kind of wild going in 2021 and buying something from the 360 store that was also 12 years old. I did the same thing with the first Aquaman, by the way. On my 360. Nothing to do with that, but anyhow, so Racerama, fine game. I mean, I am a wrestling fan. That is the number one. You brought back, you sneaky little cheeky bastard. You brought back my Cars hyperfixation, and you made me go back and look through the Wikipedia to remember everything. But professional wrestling has been my number one, and it has been for years. And Randy Savage as El Machismo. Oh my God, they couldn't have picked anyone better. Like I don't even care about. Oh God, the Candace, that's right, because it's Tara Strong, Timmy Turner.
Yep.
But I hate it. I think it's a stinger, but no, they peaked. They peaked in character design. I like that he's a massive RAV4 off-roader. Like, it's just really funny to me, considering that those are like not big cars. I don't know, they're always had like car shower thoughts where I'm like, well, if gas is their fuel, how come they have teeth? And I like stuff like that. And that was one of those things where it's like, okay, so like, are the big cars like muscular ones, or are we talking? What are we talking about with slick and slim and size here? So that answered it. No, but I love obviously the late great Randy Savage as El Machismo, but to actually talk about the game and not gush over my excuse to talk about professional wrestling on this podcast, I get plenty. Trust me, but the thing about the game I like is, well, hey, I mean, Michael Keaton's back as Chick Hicks. He just has a bunch of AI generated generic racers, the Bins,
Yep.
that have no personality whatsoever. But hey, neither does the game, so it kind of fits. So there you go. That's my positive opinions about Cars Racer-Rama.
Yeah. I don't really have another favorite part of Race of Rama because it's kind of the video that kicked off my Cars videos and everything just blowing up.
Yeah.
So my dislike towards that game is what brought us here. So I can't really say anything else nice about it except thanks Racer Rama, I guess, for kicking off,
for blowing up everything.
Yeah,
for completely ruining my 9-to-5 job and actually making me think about doing this full time.
Yeah.
Feel yeah.
So that's Cars Racer Rama. So let's move on to
Cars 2. Well, I mean, this is probably the easiest one. So, yeah, go ahead.
What? Yeah, my favorite feature of Cars 2 is pretty much the entire game. To be honest with you, like it's kind of hard to pinpoint a specific thing. It looks great. It still looks great now.
It's really good.
Avalanche knew what they were doing. You like really knew what they were doing. I like that it feels like more of a kart racer than a open world mishmash of mini games and Ramon rhythm tapping and whatever else.
You didn't press the D button right in time. I'm like, yes, I did. Oh my god. Well, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I like it. I like its simple level progression. It's challenging enough to not make me fall asleep, but it's not stupidly when you get to like whatever the access level 6, 5 or 6, whatever the highest one is. I think it might be above that. I don't remember. Um, Whenever you get to the higher point of the game, it's not like insanely hard, but it actually there's like a small challenge to it. It's not just like when you put on the pro
You actually
cheat
need to
mode.
use your brain. You actually need to think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like with the promos on the old games where you would put the cheat code in and get the championship, whatever the hell it was, and the only
And
thing that you got
get
was more rubber
unlocking all the
banding.
characters and all the first three trilogy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had like the super difficult modes they had hidden
Yeah.
in the old ones, and it was just like a glorified rubber band simulator. There was no actual challenge. It was just like have fun while the AI doesn't break on corners and doesn't fly up to space when they tap into anything. Good luck, and that's kind of it. Whereas Cars 2's difficulty spike is like a fair, like it's just an incline, like a
it inclines as you improve. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Cars 2 for me, and this is the first. Well, no, it's not the first Cars game I ever owned because Major National was before that, but it was the first one that came out at the same time as I was a little kid going, "Oh my god!" Hey, I was even disappointed by the movie when I was 5 years old. That's how not great it was. I was like, "Why? Why did they do all that? Why couldn't it just be McQueen runs up against all these people across the world and just yeah, I didn't get all the spy stuff. Still don't get all the spy stuff. Most
nope.
deaths ever in a G-rated movie, by the way, still holds that record. I think the count's like 124 casualties in that movie, and for an 80, 90-minute movie, that's insane.
And for a kids movie as well.
But I another thing I do like is the deep character roster. I'm always fond of Finn McMissile. Here was a story that I knew I had to tell on this podcast because I knew it'd get a kick out of you. There used to be a gimmick account on Twitter. I don't know if it exists anymore. That was Finn McMissile official, and he would just tweet out once a day, Finn McMissile, and nothing else. And this guy, he's from the UK. He ended up following me, and our DMs were literally just sending Finn McMissile back and forth to each other for like a year.
Oh my god!
Running jokes I've been a part of. It was so good. So it's kind of become a meme in my thing where I was like, "Oh yeah, Finn McMissile, awesome." But no, that's all fine. I mean, I do like, even though they have no personality in the movie, the international racers are more than just one-note stereotypes, with the exception of my man Francesco Bernoulli and Nigel Gearsley. I just realized that, but because he's literally every British joke rolled into one.
Yep.
Midnight Francesco, that was a real hard thing to get to when you were really little. But I don't know. Something that weirdly sticks with me with Cars 2 is particularly Jeff Gorvette, because not only did they get Jeff Gordon for the movie, they got him for the game too, which always confused the heck out of me because I got into NASCAR thanks to Cars, not into it anymore. Still play the games. But the fact that they got at the time, the most known driver, and they got him on record going turbo. Makes me go nuts.
Yeah, I mean, as I've said before in the server, NASCAR is obviously it's just not a thing here at all. Like, as I was talking to my partner literally about 3 days ago, and I just was like talking about NASCAR because we were playing Sonic and Sega all transformed, and Danica Patrick's in that game, obviously, and we were talking about like American racing and blah blah blah. Because obviously for us here, it's Formula One or nothing. Basically, that's all we have. Yeah. Don't if she hears you, she'll get really triggered. It's a whole.
It's got stuck in my head, and they are so lazy with the Formula One reskins that they don't even have their own broadcast team in America. They literally take Sky Sports, plop it onto ESPN. They don't even change the logos and the microphones, anything. It is literally just Sky's broadcast.
That's fantastic. So
it's awesome how little we care. And it's on at like 9 a.m. here, so it's like great.
Yeah, it's yeah. So like obviously we've just had Silverstone, our track literally last weekend. But anyway, back to so she had no idea what NASCAR was, and it hit me because obviously I only know of it from Cars, really.
Yeah.
And for some, and I'm like, wow, and I forget A, that I live in England, which in itself is just quite sad, and B, that
tragedy, international tragedy.
I know, yeah. And B, that we don't have any other like very famous racing here. Like we have Silverstone, as a racetrack,
Yes.
and like it is used for other things, but no one knows that outside of like the people that work there. So like,
I mean, I didn't know that Silverstone was used for more than just one Formula One race a year. So thank you. I might attend the. God, I don't know. There's probably like some formal winter ball of something in the infield of the track. I well, yeah. So we do have a lot of different iconic racetrack locations. Some that were actually inspired the tracks in the game. We never went into the Coliseum. The Cars movie did that before NASCAR actually did it a couple years ago. They managed to pull that off. The Motor Speedway of the South, that's based off of the track down here in Charlotte, North Carolina, like 1-to-1, and the DVD bonus features, they literally were just like, okay, and
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. But the other thing I wanted to get back to Sonic and Sega All Stars Racing Transformed with Danica Patrick. That was such. It didn't make any sense because she wasn't even in. She was in your equivalent to F2. She was in the Nationwide series at the time. I don't even know what it's called now, but she was in the minors. She wasn't even in mainstream NASCAR. It wasn't until the next year. So it was like, what? Why? And there was. I mean, I'm not going. The history of Danica Patrick, the podcast, the downfall of the world's most overpaid and worst racer in history, could be a whole different thing. But anyhow, Cars 2. Actually, I think it's kind of interesting that in the different international versions, in my version, we did get Lewis Hamilton. But in other versions, we instead of Lewis Hamilton, they got like other known races. Like they got Vettel for Germany, and they got somebody from Australia. I don't follow their little drift cars or whatever, but they got. But they all got different. All the countries got different racers in the spot of Corvette. But we still got Hamilton over here because he was pulling in mad ratings for us at the time.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like in the first Cars film for Harv in England, we get Jeremy Clarkson as our voice for the voice in the back of Mac's truck.
Yeah, we got shipped. I wanted to hear Jeremy Clarkson yell at McQueen. Come on, man.
Yeah, and I was so confused when I saw like I didn't even realize until I saw a TikTok on it like last year, and I was like, what is this? Like this isn't Jeremy Clarkson. And I realized suddenly I was like, well, of course it's not going to be Jeremy Clarkson in every version of the film. Why would he be? Like he wasn't.
Can you imagine if in Mali or El Salvador, where they still had Jeremy Clarkson in the cut? That doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm getting way too off track with this. Danica Patrick and Jeremy Clarkson. Hey, it's okay. If it gets popular enough, Top Gear, every episode ranked from worst to best, from how fast cargo to how not fast cargo could happen. just don't let Clarkson get us demonetized or anything. Or other wild buggers that are on that show. Cars 3 Driven to Win.
Yeah.
I have no transition for this. I'm not going to make a transition for this. I'm not going to bother.
This works. I think it works. Cars 3 Driven to Win. Oh, but I will be nice because it's your baby. It's your game.
No. It was only fun for me when I'd play it with multiple people. I'm not offended if you call it not great. I look at it now and it's not great. I was torturing myself trying to replay the whole thing in time for this.
God, I'm actually hard pressed to think of a favorite feature of that game. I liked I'll tell you what I tell you what worked. I'll say what actually functioned. We'll call it that. Yeah, the physics I thought were better than they have been in previous Cars games. I appreciated that I could at least complete a race without wanting to pull the remainder of my hair out. And I enjoyed. I liked what they had going for the progression system. It just was like it felt very half cooked. It was a good idea, but it could have done with like A, some context, and B, some more substance.
Well, and not getting 22 of them done in your first race completely an accident. Just trying to play the game because I remember Cars 2, and then you are already a quarter of the way through. So what I really like about Cars 3, and it's strange, but I do enjoy it. The best lap challenges. That's where I can get my most replay value out of it. Also takedown mode is the perfect thing to be completely brainless to. If I'm actually listening to something somewhat important, I'll pop in Cars 3 and play takedown mode because I know I can just like do something with my hands in the meantime. But best lap challenge actually does make me go, okay. And my strategy always has been save all four, go in the zone as soon as possible, rinse and repeat, because that's how you beat easy and medium mode, just like that. But
Yeah.
for hard, you actually got to think about your turbos. But Cars 3 Driven to Win has this, I mean, minus Daryl Cotter trips. Oh, wow, it's a new record. Can't, he was on the commentary team for NASCAR for ages. They just like took him off like a few years ago, and now he's just old and senile and nuts. Well, it's kind of what it sounds like in the. But minus that, you have a decently good gameplay. It's kind of it's weird. It reminds me of Diddy Kong Racing's time trial in the way that I don't enjoy time trial modes in games. So there's the only two. They're the only two exceptions. But yeah, that's what I enjoy for Cars 3 Driven to Win.
Yeah, and going back to the in the zone thing, that's one thing from both games I actually really like. Because obviously that was a feature they brought in for it was Cars 2, wasn't it? I'm not making that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Race around would be.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I think as an additional feature they added in for Cars 2 and 3, I like that across both games. So I'll add that in for my previous answer for 2 and add it in for my current answer for 3. There's a question I do want to talk about because it's a game that I have either for good or bad have played quite a lot of. So I don't know if you have, but what if Cars was added to Disney Speedstorm and how would it be adapted? Have you played Speedstorm yet?
Lucky enough. I say lucky in quotation marks. I was lucky enough to have pre-ordered Disney Speedstorm, and you know what I think? It's awful. It is not a functional racer. It is not a functional game. Which, although I'm sure this guy's a diehard Speedstorm fan, so I really don't. I want to go as easy as possible in this game, not break his heart about it. But like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I went a cup in, I won, and then I was like, oh my god, what am I doing? I could literally, I could be going out with the boys. I could be chatting it up with my ex at the time. I was like, I could be doing anything but play this. I was done. But adding cars to Speedstorm isn't inherently a bad idea. I think it would freak me out though. I don't know how the function would work because you have the actual cars with Sully and Mulan and etc. inside Woody and Buzz, and then you have the cars with the eyes and the teeth. I don't like it. I don't like it. That would not go well.
No, so I will. I'll put my 2 pence in here. I think I've played. I think my Steam game time in that game, and I am very embarrassed of this. Is probably upwards of about 50 hours. Your face just dropped.
All right.
Yeah. So I like you pre-ordered the game at a point where I didn't really have very much to play, and it's much like Cars 3's battle. That mode is a switch off for you, where you can do other stuff. Disney Speedstorm is that game that I can just put on when I have to like, if I've got like something to do work wise or like some other thing I can need to think about. I can just sit there and think, oh, Disney Speedstorm, and I'll just like the time will just pass because I'm just not thinking about what's happening on the screen. Every now and then I'll be like, oh look, it's Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. That's kind of cool, and just keep going. And I like the idea, but the minute that you knew Gameloft was involved, it was just like,
yeah, it was over.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you go to your local Royal Bank in England and you see your banker playing Disney Speedstorm, please run. Okay? I don't know what you do for a living, but the 9 to 5 office job, I'm imagining like an accountant playing Disney Speedstorm on his spare time, and it's driving me nuts. But no, I understand that. I totally get it. Yeah, I get it. But yeah, I don't know if I'd be very comfortable with the idea of cars infesting. I think I would say Disney Speedstorm.
Yeah, because you've got so many characters now that I think. I mean, obviously, Disney Infinity was a cursed crossover enough for some of those characters to be interacting.
I didn't.
Uh,
No, you're right.
um,
We talked about the Lone Ranger earlier. The Lone Ranger Lightning McQueen set. Oh, that goes hard right there.
yeah, but yeah, you've got characters in the game like Lilo and Stitch, whatever the big alien is with the multiple eyes. And I haven't seen that film in years, so excuse
I
me.
forgot.
Yeah, and then you've got like Hades from Hercules, and then Gaston is in the game for some reason,
Yes.
and then you've just got, I can imagine it just be lightning and like Chick Hicks, and it's just
Yeah,
gonna be like,
yes,
uh,
it'd be older.
yeah, and then I think they've just added the Inside Out races. Is that right? I think that's the thing they've just done. I don't have the game installed on Steam, but
I was about to say I haven't had the game installed in a year, so I was going off
yeah,
of the pre-ordered character bonus. That's why I mentioned Sully, Mulan, and Buzz and Woody because that was the only stuff I managed to get before I was like, I'm out of here.
that's something I'm gonna find out right now who. So they added Wally.
Oh,
Here you go. Right, cursed crossover. They just added Kermit the Frog. So it's nice to see Disney still remembers they own the Muppets. That's cool.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Okay, that's for real.
I'm sure. Yeah, they did. Their biggest season update, season 8, is Inside Out, and you have all 5 of the original emotions from the film. The 5 races they added, and to me that is already cursed in itself because they should be like tiny.
Well,
As should
can you imagine the epitome of anger and Hades passing you by on some random? I don't know. Andy's played. I haven't played the game in forever, so I don't even know what the tracks are. I think it's more generic than that. Even they didn't even think about it. But
yeah, the last season I properly played. So I played from season 3, which was I played the original one when it came out, skipped the second one, played the Lilo and Stitch one, dabbled in the Aladdin one, then played the Frozen one. I don't really know why because I'm not really a Frozen fan. And then came along. They did the Little Mermaid, Wreck It Ralph, and Inside Out, and I haven't played any of those. And then in the meantime, they add in like just random characters as extra.
yeah,
And then
Kermit
it's
the
like,
Frog. I was actually like so out of left field, but okay, I guess.
yeah,
All right. What's next? I'm sorry, Speedstorm fan number 72, but I could not obtain your knowledge and power of the Speedstorm series.
yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, well let's Imperial Federation. This dude is just on. He's a fan. I see this guy. He comes in my streams. I'm pretty sure he's in the server now. So I'm gonna answer this question or put the question forward.
Well, we're
to
both going to answer this question. It's
Yep.
kind of the point of having two of us here.
So favorite paint jobs from the franchise across the board.
Oh, I got my own.
Yeah. Now I looked at this a couple of days ago and I sat there. I thought, oh my god, I don't even know where to start because I don't know. As you've seen from the amount I've played, I haven't really chosen too many. And then it clicked, and I was like, all the homies love Dinoco Blue.
Oh, that is ice cold. And I did that wasn't even the first one I was gonna mention, but then you put that in my mind. I'm like, oh, that's right, it's the last one you unlock. I'm like, oh, that is some good some good stuff right there. Yes, Dinoco Blue, that one's good. The Stars and Stripes Lightning one, I'm very fond of. As an American, cheeseburger and AR-15 in hand, while we scream our national anthem. We love the Stars and Stripes Lightning over here. See, it's hard to say non-Lightning McQueen ones because most of them after that are color palette swaps.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's cool that for Doc they put in the first game the Fabulous Hudson Hornet thing is the last unlockable you got for that, but I don't know. I mean, do you want to play as sheriff without his sheriff badge? Like that seems
pretty
like
yeah.
I don't even know. Like for like the king, I'm like, yeah, orange and blue. It just all goes by. Oh no, there is one other that is non-McQueen related that is pretty good. Ramon has this green paint job from Mater National. It's a good job. I like it.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll tell you what. That's the other thing I should have said about Racer Rama. The customization. Okay, yeah, you're looking at me a bit concerned. The customization.
Oh, no, concerned. I'm just going. processing this. Yes.
Yeah. It was a cool idea, right? We can put this under paint jobs. It's a glorified cosmetic, yeah.
Absolutely.
I when I first played Racerama when I was younger, so I'm pretty sure if I spin around, it's right here. There it is in all its glory, ready to open up. When I played this when I was like, I don't know, 9, 10, I think. Um, I saw that customization. I was like, this is cool. I love this so much. And then when I came back to it, I thought, good God, this makes my eyes hurt. Like this, I'm looking at like some absolute. I've made a monster here. This is like Frankenstein's car that I've got right here. And then having gone back again on the stream, I'm suddenly looking at it, I'm like, you know what? I kind of appreciate what they were going for here. I don't rock the main paint job McQueen has on the cover. I think it's very boring. It makes him just look really weirdly smooth and like a bit
Oh, you're right.
strange.
Yeah, I don't like how. Oh, that's one thing that always bugged me about Cars 3 the movie was the new Rusty's paint job. It was a cool diecast car. I still have that, but it was not good in the film whatsoever. It did make him look, yeah, almost too smooth. It was weird.
Yeah, yeah. But I can appreciate what they were doing. So I will in terms of talking about favorite paint jobs, I will just throw in the customization in there as just a cool nod. I'll give it that. It'll get a nod of respect for what it tried to do, and we'll move on from that. But yeah, I've got to say, yeah, the green Ramon is very cool in International. Dinoco Blue will always be my true love, but you are right. The Stars and Stripes. I was about to say Captain America. Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, if Captain America had a more interesting design, we'd all be more into him.
Yeah. But I also like that Lightning. I actually on the stream I played as the Stars and Stripes Lightning for quite a significant chunk of it. So
yeah,
there we go. Okay. You ready for another question?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So let's go on to from Lash's Elf. Which gameplay style do you prefer for a Cars game specifically? Open world.
We went over this.
This is true, but I'm going to answer it again.
Yeah,
go ahead. Or linear kart racing. Now we've been over both of these in as what was our favorite parts of the games. Now I've got to say, I'm going to go with linear kart racing. I'm not going to lie. I was leaning to more the open world side of things when I started playing these games, and then I'm definitely more on the linear bandwagon now. Well, linear to an extent. Linear kart racing feel not quite the driven to win. Look here, you've done 22 missions in your first race, but
he doesn't seem like you're saying all.
Yeah, no, Cars 2's linear ishness of racing. I think that's the peak we got in terms of that. So I would say that as much as I appreciate an open world, especially for how old that open world is.
See, when I was thinking open world, when I saw this question, I was thinking like for some reason a Cars version of like Banjo-Kazooie. And then my mind kind of went nuts. How am I gonna present this in an easy fashion? No, it didn't work because I was thinking about it and I'm like, I'm not making the cars jump. Whatever, I can't do this. But I will say I do like the kart racing aspects. The open world stuff, very neat. If they, I've always kind of been a Keith Ferguson hater over here, but if they manage to get some decent and Larry the Cable Guy will do anything for me. So if you manage to get any decent impressions of any of the other main cast and you can interact with them, they give you races to do. Be an all right game. Wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, and I think on that note, then this is quite an easy one to answer. Really, is what if Cars 2 was an open world game similar to the first 3 Cars games? Now we know our opinions on them. I think if Cars 2 was developed by Avalanche, it was an open world game, I think it would have been all right. I think it could have.
It would have been fine. Going around the actual Tokyo and London and Italy would have been very neat. I mean, heck, you can. If we're talking about this, you could split up the game basically into 2 mini games. You could have Lightning and all the racing stuff in one end, and you can have Mater and Finn and Holly and all the stuff. I didn't know her name was Holly until you reminded me. Literally, I was watching your Cars 2 mobile game video. I had no idea. So she's always been the British purple car. So Mater, Finn, and Holly on the other end with the spy stuff. So I thought to myself, yeah, that actually work. It would be decent, and you could go through all these locations. They could have actually had detailed worlds, like you know how detailed Radiator Spring was in the first couple of games. I mean,
Yep.
you could run into cars, they'd actually react to you.
I agree. That would have been very good. That would have been very good.
But, okay, so how many do we have left?
We actually don't have that many. So I've got one, two, three, about 5. A couple of them are very similar.
Okay, thank God. Okay, we are back, and we have just a few more questions to take care of. That's why I made this a 40-minute and not a 90-minute Zoom meeting as the other 2 were scheduled to be. Anyway, Mr. K, take it away.
All right. Well, I've got one comment that's not a question. I'm just going to read it anyway. And that's saying open world Cars 3 game would be awesome. And I'm just going to comment on that. I'm going to say I agree. Pretty much any other kind of Cars 3 game probably would have been good.
Anything would have been better than what we actually got. Like it's
Yeah.
I didn't even see that one. Was that made while we were recording it?
That's a couple of days ago. But we must
okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only way that could have been worse if it was like the Cars 2 PSP, really. So
yeah,
that's all I have to say about that.
I see it. Yeah, it was from yesterday. Okay, all right. Well, speaking of that, because I don't even know how I'm gonna say this because I didn't have a PS Vita. But from Lemon Cookie 5090 concept for a Cars 3 for the PS Vita. Would it be the same style as Cars 2 for the PS Vita? Oh, there was a Cars 2 for the PS. That's right. I remembered your video. There is a Cars 2 for the PS Vita.
Well, it's a bit of an iffy one because the Cars, as far as I remember, it was that Disney pack, wasn't it? The Disney joint pack.
Yes.
I thought that was the Cars 1 PSP game in that. I don't think it's Cars 2.
Oh.
I've noticed this a few times. There seems to be a common misconception about the Cars on PS Vita. It's just a port of the PSP game.
Oh.
So I'll take that question as I'll reword it slightly to, is it the same style as Cars 2 for PSP?
There is a Cars 2 on PS.
Yeah, so Cars 2...
I'm really starting to black out on these.
Yeah, Cars 2 on PSP is a slot racer. I don't know if you remember watching a video on it.
That's right, because that was the one. Yeah, I remember your almost hypnotic gameplay as Mater on that one.
I got very, very angry about its mere existence. So let's just say concept for Cars 3 for the PS Vita. Now, I had a PS Vita a long time ago. And true story here, my dog ate it. I'm not kidding. He chewed it and he ate the games and he chewed. I've got my PSP here just for reference. This half of it off, so it was unplayable.
Oh.
So yeah, he's just chilling downstairs, getting the way.
That is an absolute unit for eating a PS Vita and still living.
Yeah. So yeah, no, he ate half of it, ate the games, and then just left the remains in the garden. So so I haven't had a PS Vita in a long time, but as far as I remember, it was for a handheld console of its time, it was quite a powerful console.
It was, wasn't it? It was like equivalent to people called it a PS 2.5 because it was like in between the 2 and 3 in graphical power, right?
So I know for a fact because I played it on there, and we're going back to Transformed. Sonic and Sega Transformed was on that console, and it looked great, and it played great. So if a game like that could exist on the PS Vita, I don't see why we couldn't have had Cars 3 or 2, for that matter, in the same style as the console release, really, because it would have quite easily. I mean, we had Cars 1 on PSP. That was basically just a pseudo version of the Cars 1. Yeah. So I think Cars 2 and 3 could have very easily been a very well-made, decent game that wasn't... I mean, don't get me wrong, slot racing as a genre is fine. I mean, it's kind of dead, really.
Yeah, no one's really done it. Micro Machines.
I mean, there's a reason it's dead, really, is because it's you know what I mean? Like, it's not... Yeah, it's just boring. It's a product of its time, and there was no reason for Cars 2 to take that genre and think, oh, what can we do with this? The answer, Disney, is nothing. You don't do anything with it. You leave it alone in its box where it should stay with micro machines. So yeah, that game's fine, but like
Yeah.
the rest of it, no. So Cars 3 on the PS on any PlayStation handheld, let's just go with that. Could have
Yeah.
very easily just been a shorter, but more like a tighter, shorter, more competent, just racer. Just a standard third person camera racer.
See, now here's where it goes to the American perspective because it's sold okay in Europe. It's sold fine, but it failed here spectacularly. And
Oh no.
so it was barely on the shelves for 3 years here before it kind of got in the bargain bins and all that. So I don't. The only thing I remember one kid having a PS Vita in school, and he played that SpongeBob Hero Pants is what it's called, and he played all the time. Weird. Anyway, the Vita I have like no fondness to, no memory towards. I've only really heard of it, and that's why I was really concerned when one of probably either the 10,000 if you were from Europe or 10 if you're from here fans of the Vita go, hey, how would you like to make a Cars game on the PSP? I would have just been like, just put it on the 3DS, have the little stylus around it, and just call it a day. Yeah,
Yep.
I can't help you with that. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. I mean, it was a cool. I liked the console. From what I remember, it's been a long time since I've.
From what I've seen, it's pretty neat. It did not catch on here, and it had the very bad case of just when it was launching, the 3DS started thriving. It was at the end of 2011 and the beginning of 2012, and that was when
Yeah,
the got going.
because the 3DS had a very rough launch due
Yeah,
to pricing and well, let's just face it, a very very rubbish launch
yeah.
lineup. To be honest with you,
6 months before it did, I think we'd still have at least the Vita be somewhat relevant.
yeah, yeah. But the Vita's issues again. It had some okay launch titles from what I remember, but again, because it was Sony, it was so expensive, so expensive. I mean, it was marketed weirdly because they tried to sell it to like all audiences and then failed at doing any of them rather than just focusing on one. And
Yeah,
because they tried to make it to adults because they did Uncharted. They tried to do it for kids
right.
because they did Tearaway and Little Big Planet, and then succeeded in neither of those markets. And now we just kind of have this weird memory of this console that might have existed for like a few people, and
Yeah,
that's it.
we never got PS Vita commercials over here. I've seen yours with the Uncharted, and I think they're pretty cool. But like, yeah, no, it flopped spectacularly here. So when I saw a thing that I've only seen actually in person once, I'm like, oh boy, I don't even know how I'm going to respond to this.
Well, I guess that covers that question.
Yeah,
So
I'm sorry, PS Vita fan. I know you were waiting for just a beautiful in-depth analysis like we did with the first few questions. Unfortunately, we are both running out of steam. I'm spending my afternoon covering this. He's spending his early evening covering this. He should be out with the guys. It's Saturday. But no, no, we're fine. Anyway, continue onward.
okay, so next up we have not a question so much as a topic, which is Cars Flash games. Now, I don't feel very well equipped to discuss this one yet because I haven't got to that in my Cars coverage on the channel. So if you have something to say here,
I've got nothing. I see. I liked Nickelodeon way more than I liked Disney, so I never was on the Disney website when they still had Flash games. There was a really cool one where you could launch people into sharks, but that save that for later. I don't remember what it was tied to. I think it was Phineas and Ferb. But the I never got to play a single Cars Flash game. I mean, I guarantee you, some websites, some actually. Hold on, let me look it up right now. I'm gonna. I am curious for me and me alone. So here are the titles that you are most likely going to have to cover. Oh my God, there's way more than I thought there'd be.
oh no,
And
okay,
most of them don't have that seal of quality that you've been. All right, so to not let this guy down, I'm just going to give you the lineup here. Disney Cars Jigsaw, okay. Disney
nice.
Cars Hidden Letters, All right, there we go. Good start. Cars 2, it just says driving. That is all it says. It just says Cars 2 driving, and that is very threatening. Cars 2 coloring characters. Oh, know what this is going. Lightning McQueen coloring. Oh, it's literally a digital coloring book. You're gonna have a mix of Cars Hidden Stars, Lightning McQueen dress up. Is that even the official one? It is. Huh.
Oh.
Cars 3 Demolition Derby. Kind of curious about that one because that's a little later. Cars 2 World Grand Prix. I'm sure that one's fire. I might actually boot that one up as soon as this one's over. Cars 2 Chrome Missions. Oh, wait. I was talking about the splitting of the racing and the spy thing. They did that for the Flash game.
There you go. Nice.
Cars 5. Oh, no. Oh, that's in Italian. Guino Santastico. Why was I was like Santastico? I was having some problems there, but then I just realized, oh, it's garbage. Lightning's off-road training. It's got Sarge there. The extreme off-road rush with some generic. This looks like a Cars DeviantArt OC on the front cover of this. One just called Lightning Speed, which I don't know. Some of these are actually making me worried. We might have to just play these live on stream. It's going to make me go nuts. Flo's V8 Stop and Go. Okay, thankfully that's simple enough. Cars Hidden Objects. That's the worst one. Interactive movie poster for the first two.
Oh, no.
The official Disney Flash Games archive for this. So this is the official list. Doc Hudson's Time Trial. I think they had Flo's V8 Cafe twice. It's either that or they're two separate games, and you're having a great time. Mater's Memory Game, Luigi's Casadea Tires, Luigi and Guido's Tire Rush, Radiator Springs Racing, which these guys were so lazy they literally used a stock image of Lightning McQueen. Like they didn't even take out the watermark. It is just a stock image of Lightning. It's so funny. Mater to the Rescue, Ramon's painting, Ramon's coloring. There's two coloring books in here. I don't know if that's a video topic. I'm not gonna lie to you. There are like 6 games I consider acceptable at most. Desert Dash and Tractor Tippin'. Okay, figures. But that is all of the Disney Cars games. Oh,
okay.
Yeah, I just like to say that the main focus on this site, it has Hannah Montana Flash games, Lilo and Stitch Flash games, Zack and Cody Flash games. Which, my God, that seems infinite. Mickey Mouse Flash games and Phineas and Ferb Flash games. All the other ones are on different tabs. Those are the ones that they're so proud of to have one. Especially Zack and Cody. Yeah, all right. I might actually have to go through this after the thing. This is insanely fun. So there you go. Cars Flash games. We named literally all of them in existence. Maybe some of them are playable. Hopefully they can work. We'll see what happens. Hopefully he can make a great video that would be much better than anybody else could cover the topic, because he's the #1 Cars fan in all the land.
Okay, right. Well, as Flash games we'll come back to. I'll come back to another time of the video. So let's go on to the next one, which is I feel like we've already covered this, which is the licensed games market. Now, I feel like we tiptoed into it with the movie games.
But that doesn't cover the TV shows, and God forbid, there's just so many random brands that would, especially in the PS2 Wii days, would just slap their name on it.
Yeah, so I tell you what, let's go in with that side of it, because I think that's the most interesting. So I'm going to come straight in with one of the most cursed things I've ever seen in my entire life, and the fact it got 2. I think it's actually in my server, someone's talking about it. Crazy Frog got 2 racing games, not 1, but 2 kart races on the PS2. Why?
They're not very good either. Or at least the first one that I played, it was awful. So
yeah, it's like F-Zero for people that hate themselves. It's awful. It's truly terrible.
They should have put that on the box. They should have put that F-Zero for people who hate themselves. That sounds like a great tagline. I'd buy that. Yeah, no, I agree. There's a bunch of very random games that I have hosted in the past. Cold Stone Creamery's little game on the Wii. They make a fantastic get old ladies ice cream wrong simulator. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones.
Um,
The Biggest Loser,
yeah.
Jackass the Game.
Um, Burger King's Sneak King.
Ooh, the one of the only discs around that can be played on two consoles because they put two games in one.
Yep. Yep. There's M&M's. M&M have kart races, right? I'm pretty sure.
That's yes, they have one on the Wii. It's a terrible one on the Wii. No, it's not. No, it's not fun. Don't. It was made by one of my friends at Zoo Games, who were known for their high quality back in the day. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
um,
I'm trying to think. I mean, I had a bunch of the game show games when I was a little, and actually the Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy ones on the Wii were not terrible at all. So they're spared. But some of these, like Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader and Jeff Foxworthy's Magical Moving Mustache, that hasn't gone out of my memory. So
no,
yeah, go ahead.
there's a yeah that's not good. I think we had you had X Factor in the US, right? You had a USA version of X Factor.
For 4 years, and then I got canceled because Simon was like, "Oh, bugger off! I'm going to stick with the one in the UK."
Yeah, and then the UK one got cancelled because it had such low ratings. Everyone stopped watching it, so they just cancelled it anyway.
I thought it was still running over there. So.
No, X Factor's been gone for about 5 or 6 years here now. But on that licensed music games, right? There's a Glee video game.
Beatles, Green Day, Rock Band, both of them were fantastic games.
Yeah, Lego Rock Band, which is like a weird license crossover, but very cool nonetheless.
Hey, I mean, it's the only thing my family. I mean, like, because we were huge rock. We had all the things for it. We had all the instruments. Huge Rock Band people. They'd only let me play the Lego game until I was like 6. So, fair enough. But it was no, that was a fun little time in gaming history. And do I miss it? No, not really. Am I glad that Fortnite kind of brought the genre back? I can't believe that Rock Band 5. Oh man, it's in the stupid pew pew shoot 'em up game. But we got Rock Band 5 in there. And I have Rock Band 3. That's the only one that I still kept after all these years because I still have the keyboard one, the keyboard attachment, and it's sick because not only did Mad Catz design it, and they literally the headquarters for Mad Catz are 2 hours from my house.
Nice.
So I ordered this thing and it came the next day. And it was like to my state from my state. I'm like, awesome, great. But that thing can play the guitar, bass, and drum parts as well as the keyboard parts. It can do everything but the vocals. So I'm like, sweet, and I'll just play random things, and it's so much easier. So much easier.
What else do you have? I mean, you got the brand of games that are like toys. So you got a lot of Lego games. I'm pretty sure Playmobil have a game. I might be wrong, but
they have the movie. I don't know if they have a Playmobil game. And once again, that's another thing that was bigger there. You actually got the Playmobil movie released in theaters. We didn't. But no, I don't think they have a game. I'm gonna be proven wrong and be made to look like an idiot. Playmobil video game. Oh, wait a minute. There was one from all the way back in 1999, a PC one, and then there were two on the DS.
Nice. Okay, so there
Playmobil
are some
Pirates and Playmobil Knights, which are both of their generic series because they never got as popular as Lego. Therefore, they could not get any licenses whatsoever. So it was like kind of like the first Lego Island, that series on the PC, but they're stuck with that permanently, like forever.
Yep. Yeah, Playmobil. I mean, it's a big thing here, but I've never owned a single product of that brand ever.
The only Playmobil related thing that I remember happening that people kind of made a big deal out of is when they got the license to do the Thomas the Tank Engine toys for and they don't even have it anymore, I don't believe, but
no,
they got it from Mattel, and then Mattel was like, "Nah, we're just gonna buy the whole thing." But they did have that license for a couple of years, and people were like, "That thing." I'm like, "Oh, it's a preschool children's show. Okay, whatever."
Yeah. That's a whole thing coming up on my channel at some point soon. Is Thomas the Tank Engine video games. That's something that's been requested a few
I
times.
love that. I love that. I love
I'm looking forward to covering
I'm
that.
I'm hyped. But the I don't know if this is exactly what this guy meant, but the state of licensed games ain't doing too hot right now. We're in a dying. This isn't heck. This isn't even as good as what we got in the 360 Wii PS3. This isn't in comparison to the PS2 and Xbox. It's not there.
No,
Poor
not at all.
Nickelodeon trying to pump out a kart racer and a Smash Bros. Clone every year. I feel so bad for him.
I know.
At least they put it on Game Pass now, so I don't care.
That's true. Well, there's DreamWorks kart racing as well, isn't there? I believe.
Oh, I do have that. That's right. I have that.
Yeah.
That's the one with the terrible Shrek impression.
Yep.
I got the DLC for that because it had Master Oogway in it. I'm like, have to have Master Oogway.
That's hilarious. I'm gonna have to get the game just to play it, to get the DLC to play as Master Oogway.
You gotta understand. I had to build up Chi as Master Oogway to kick Toothless's ass in the game. So it just had to happen.
Yeah.
Most of the games are not there, but hey, they can range, like I said, from a Toy Story 3 or to a or a Toy Story 1 on the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo.
Well, I mean, that pretty much takes us through licensed games market. Again, there's plenty more of that I'm sure we'll dive into across multiple episodes, because I feel like it's 90% of my channel's content is licensed games anyway. So
yes, that's what made you the big money. That's what's gonna keep rolling it in for you.
Yeah.
My roughly $2 cut from whatever this makes. No, I'm kidding, but really though, yeah, most of your stuff's licensed games, so it'll be right up your alleyway. And you've even gone out of your way to have some beautiful gameplay aside from it. So it'll be good. It'll be really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. So our last question. Well, second to last question, sorry, before we get to the question of the day, is what did we like in the first Cars game that you'd like to see implemented in possible future Cars games? Now, that's obviously a kind of reword of stuff we've already spoken about, but that's fine because it's also kind of its own thing. So, what I liked in the first Cars game that I wish had been in the other games was the voice actors. But obviously, that wasn't on the cards with the budget. But if we did, theoretically speaking, get a Cars 4 or another season of Cars on the Road where they're like, hey, let's make a video game, I would love them to kidnap Owen Wilson and force him into a recording booth and make him make the voice lines again instead of our boy Keith Ferguson. So, like,
he's still got it. That SNL skit a couple years ago proves that he's still got the lightning in him.
Yeah.
We'll be all right. We'll be all right. But I was just thinking of your video from yesterday with the car. Are you ready to race? I said nothing. Like I could have even. Yeah, wow, you ready to race, kid? Like,
see, there you go. Infinitely better. Just hire you.
It's please. Not even that hard. Yeah, you missed on every single conceptual level. But when it comes to Cars 1, something because we've added so many things from 1 and Mater National that we decided to put into the later things. What I would like most from Cars 1, and this is so specific, so random, but do you like when you grab the bonus points where they got the little...
Yes.
Love that from the first 2 games. Awesome. Should be a registered sound effect on either the BBC sound effect board if you're over there, or our my instance if you're over here. Should be an easy grab. I'm gonna get multiple MP3 files of that exact sound effect. That's but yes, the question of the day. I can't wait.
Oh yes, here we go. Right, so this is two people very educated in this topic. What is the worst version of Tom and Jerry hunting high and low, and in brackets Tom and Jerry 2? Now I'm gonna say I'm really sorry because I've played one Tom and Jerry game on my Game Boy Advance, I think, many years ago, and I couldn't even tell you what it's called. I have it somewhere, and I'm going to have to find it to discuss at some point. But
Well, I'm just going to look up because this is a video game, right? Oh, yeah, 1989. Oh boy. 1989 platform game. Oh,
Oh,
okay. So here we go. I've now pulled up the Wikipedia page. I should have done this like 5 days ago, but it doesn't matter. Is a 1989 platform game developed and published by German company Magic Bytes, which has no Wikipedia page.
yeah,
So
I just noticed that.
that's a great start. First video game based off the cartoon. Okay. So there's two different things. So Tom and Jerry Hunting High and Low, and another game with identical gameplay, Tom and Jerry 2, was released in Europe later in 1989. And what it came out, it was home computers. So this wasn't an NES game. So it was Amiga, Atari ST, Commodore 64, MSX, Amstrad, and the ZX Spectrum. I'm guessing you're guys from the UK because the ZX Spectrum got mentioned.
Yeah.
But, all right. So there are two paragraphs here for gameplay. So that's considering the amount of pages compared to like God of War or Red Dead Redemption 2 that they put on here. Two paragraphs seems like quite a bit for something from 1989. Tom and
Yeah.
Jerry's a platform game. Play as Jerry. I'm sorry, hold on. Playing as Jerry, a mouse.
Yep, that's as if that.
Okay. The player travels around 5 rooms in a house to search for cheese. The player has a time limit to consume all the cheese. And also must evade Tom, a cat who wants to harm Jerry. Awesome. You know what? Next time, if one of my grandchildren, 60 years, I'm sending him this Wikipedia page. I'm not even sending him the normal Wikipedia page. As in the cartoon, Jerry can use a variety of items against Tom. This includes bowling balls and vases that can be dropped on Tom's head from a shelf. Sounds a lot worse when you actually don't have the cartoon to go back to context. And banana peels, which can be laid on the floor for Tom to slip. Reaching a shelf requires the player to jump on a sofa, propelling Jerry into the air. This sounds like a summation of the first level of the game, and they were like, screw it. Why not? To evade Tom. Oh, wait. Oh, no, I skipped a sentence. The player can also activate a radio or television to distract Tom. Yes, the movie shorts character, greatest enemy, television. That's very meta. Well played, Hanna-Barbera. To evade Tom, the player can also enter mouse holes, which lead Jerry through tunnel. Played as a continuously scrolling sub-game, while in the tunnels, the player must evade bombs that are thrown inside.
Don't forget, the player can also collect cheese in the tunnels to restore lost time.
A mouse.
Oh man.
I think what's making me lose it is that Jerry is just collecting cheese from wherever this is taking place. And Tom just responds with, hey, domestic terrorism. So let's see. The player can also collect cheese in the tunnels. The tunnels connect to each room in the house. Okay. So several critics declared the game a disappointment. Oh, how am I not surprised? Andy Smith of Ace Magazine, good old Ace, stated that fans of the cartoon would be disappointed with the game as well. Did get praise for the graphics, though, but on average, and this is from, this is from the official Amiga magazine, where they gave it a 51 out of 100. Fantastic. So you really bungled up when the game that the platform that the magazine that the platform is released for can't even barely give you a 5 out of 10. Oh.
Yeah, it's
Let's see. Going by the most obscure of your, I'm so glad we answered this question. I'm so thankful. This is actually probably going to be the most watchable content out of all this. So we're going to go with the Amstrad CPC for your final answer, because that computer I have never heard of in my entire life. Would you agree on that?
I would agree on that, because I mean, as something that apparently successfully stabbed itself in the United Kingdom, I've never heard of that. And I like to think I know a lot about stuff that happens in this country personally, but no, I know of the ZX Spectrum. I'm aware of it. I'm aware of the MSX. Amstrad, not a clue. So let's go with the Amstrad CPC. I agree. Let's go with that version.
The next year. That's why. Literally, game came out in '89. The computer was off the shelves by 1990.
Nice. That's what we love to see.
All right. Well, thank you so much. If you did manage to be patient enough, thank you for listening to the both of us. I'd like to thank my co-hosts. It's really an honor to work with them. Great job. We got through episode 1.
We did.
Like and subscribe to him. Don't subscribe to me. I don't post anything anymore. So just give it all the glory to him. But yeah. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon. It's been fantastic. And yeah, we'll catch you in the next episode.